Hello everyone, this is Arafel bringing you another DOS game. Today, as you can see, this is a Star Trek game, licensed from Paramount Pictures, done by Sega, interestingly enough. So, last time I played Astro Chase and I was not as impressed as I remembered being when I played it originally. It's not as graphically impressive. The view screen at the bottom is kind of interesting, but you have your Enterprise here, you fly around. The controls are kind of different, but this came with an overlay thing that went on your joystick to remind you of what everything does. You press up to go forward, left and right to turn. Fire button fires your phasers, which is your primary weapon. On the left, under your score, you can see 3 bars. The top one is shields. Every time you get hit, you lose one of those. The middle one is Photon Torpedoes. You fire those by pulling back on your joystick, pressing down. And those will hit anything in a line in front of you. And they have a much wider area of effect than the phasers do. Phasers, you need to have the target pretty much centered in your crosshairs. Photons will hit anything that's even vaguely in front of you. So if you have enemies kind of lined up, you can take out several at once. And then the bottom bar is your warp energy. To use that, you hold the fire button and press down. And you kind of lunge forward. So what's going on here is you have these Klingon ships. They're attacking the star bases mainly. These are the green squares. They look different in the crosshairs, view screen. There are some that are attacking the star bases constantly. I took one of those out to begin with to avoid having it destroyed. And there are some that just kind of patrol around shooting immediately, and if they spot you, they'll come after you. You've probably also noticed as I'm flying around that your sectors loop vertically and horizontally. I'll just finish this guy off to end the level. At the end of the stage, you get a bonus for each remaining starbase. It's a fairly large bonus if you have not docked with it. If you have docked with it, which is by touching it, docking replenishes some of your supplies. It then turns blue to indicate that. You get a smaller bonus for each docked with starbase. Now to change things up, in addition to the Klingon attack waves, you have these Meteor Showers, for instance. I think these are supposed to be something other than meteors, like an energy nebula or something like that, but anyway, the idea is you have these change-up levels where instead of fighting Klingons, you're flying through an obstacle course trying to get star bases for extra supplies. And these, I think, are timed, although it doesn't show you the timer. And after a while, they just end. This stage, there are 2 star bases, more Klingons. If the star bases get shot at too much, they'll start to blink and eventually be destroyed. I'll try to line these guys up, use a photon. Yep. Takes them both out, and they weren't even aligned that well. Which is what I meant about it having a wide area effect. There's 3 at once. Yeah, I don't really use warp drive that much. I don't find it to be that useful. Especially since you can just loop around the level anyway. I suppose it might be handy sometimes. Oh, here's another kind of change-up level. Those are mines. You want to take out the rectangle thing. I don't know if there's any good way to do this. I pretty much just keep turning, try to get it in the crosshairs and shoot when I get an opportunity. But as you can see, it moves pretty quickly. The Enterprise does not turn very quickly. Okay, that was supposed to be Nomad. If you destroy Nomad, you get the little Star Trek theme going. It does rainbow lights, and you get an extra bonus. Yeah, this is pretty much the game. You get more Klingons and more stuff going on as you progress further into it. I'll just let myself get hit to show what happens. So can you ram things? Yes, you can ram things. So as you get hit, your shields go down. When you run out of shields, you're not instantly destroyed. The bars, the things on the left also count. and then instead of being destroyed immediately, it goes through your photon torpedoes and then your warp drive, and then if you're hit with nothing left, that's when it's over. So there's an interesting sort of mercy to that. It's not a great game, but it's decent enough. It has fairly varied gameplay. The controls feel pretty good for the most part. My main complaint with it is that the whole Star Trek part of it is pretty much just skin on a generic combat game. And yeah, you have Klingons, you have the Enterprise, you have warp drive, photon torpedoes, phasers, Nomad, and all that, but it doesn't really have a lot of what makes Star Trek Star Trek. And there's no characters, there's no exploration, there's no interpersonal conflict, there's no, musing about the nature of life and all that. It's just combat. It's fine as a combat game, it just doesn't feel very Star Trek-y. I'm reminded of... I think it was a DOS game I played later on. I can't remember what it's called, but that would interweave between, you'd have combat scenes, but then you'd also have a part where the crew beams down to a planet, and it's like an adventure game from that point. It's like a King's Quest kind of thing, where you'd have things you would explore, you examine things, you manage inventory, you solve puzzles, figure out what's going on, and all that stuff. And I think you could get your red shirts killed also. You'd get a better ranking if you didn't, but that was a thing that happened. And of course the red shirts get killed. That's what red shirts do. Anyway, this has been Star Trek for the Atari. And yeah, I think there were also Star Wars game. I never played any of those. But yeah, that's it for this time. Come back next time. We'll have something different with a war theme going on.